Lisa Bennett stroked Buddy's golden fur as her shuttle approached the massive Galactic Council station. The space structure hung like a gleaming silver spider in the darkness, its 8 arms extending from a central hub where representatives of 200 alien species made decisions affecting trillions of lives across the galaxy. "Last trip for a while, boy," Lisa whispered to the golden retriever. Buddy's tail thumped against the shuttle seat. "Once these trade talks finish, we get to go home." Lisa wasn't supposed to bring her pet to the diplomatic station. The Council had strict rules about non-sentient Earth creatures in their sterile environments, but after 6 months away from home, she couldn't bear another 3-week separation. The station's artificial gravity and atmosphere were perfectly safe for Buddy. She had made sure of that. Besides, as Earth's head ambassador, she had certain privileges. At least that's what she told herself. The shuttle docked with a soft clank. Lisa adjusted her navy blue uniform and clipped Buddy's leash to his collar. "Best behavior," she reminded him. Buddy sat perfectly still, his training evident in his calm eyes. A tall, blue-skinned figure waited as the airlock slid open. Ambassador. Coryx represented the Nalari, one of the few council species who maintained friendly relations with humans. "Ambassador Bennett," Coryx's voice warbled through his translator. "Welcome back to—" His 4 eyes widened as they landed on Buddy. "You brought an animal on board?" Lisa forced a smile. "This is Buddy, my companion. He's fully vaccinated and trained." Coryx's skin rippled with concern. "The Xylorians will not approve. They chair the council this cycle." "I'll keep him in my quarters during meetings," Lisa promised. Coryx's upper arms made a gesture of surrender. "It is not my place to object, but please avoid High Counselor Vexthar with your pet." Lisa nodded, knowing Coryx was right. The Xylorians, with their rigid views on biological hierarchy, considered keeping animals for companionship a primitive practice. They barely tolerated humans as it was, having opposed Earth's admission to the Council for decades. "The trade negotiations begin in 3 hours, Coryx said, leading them through the gleaming corridors. "The Council is eager to discuss human agricultural exports." Lisa knew eager was an exaggeration. The Council needed Earth's food production to feed several overpopulated systems, but they hated depending on the newcomers to galactic society. In her quarters, Lisa set up Buddy's water bowl and bed. "Stay," she instructed firmly. Buddy whined but settled down. Lisa knelt and scratched behind his ears. "Just a few hours, then we'll take a walk around the residential ring." She changed into her formal diplomatic uniform and headed to the meeting. The negotiations went as expected, tense but productive. The council representatives haggled over prices while Lisa reminded them that Earth's organic farming methods produced higher quality food than their synthetic alternatives. 4 hours later, exhausted but satisfied with the preliminary agreements, Lisa returned to her quarters. The door slid open. The room was empty. "Buddy?" Lisa called, checking the bathroom and under the bed. The knot in her stomach tightened. She pressed her wrist communicator. "Security, this is Ambassador Bennett. My dog is missing from my quarters." The station's security chief, a reptilian Draxian, responded with obvious annoyance. "Ambassador, our systems show your door was opened by authorized council personnel 2 hours ago." "Who?" Lisa demanded, her diplomat's composure cracking. A pause. "High Counselor Vexthar's security team." Lisa's blood went cold. She ran through the corridors, ignoring the stares of aliens moving quickly out of her way. She found Coryx outside the council chambers. "Where's Vexthar?" she gasped. Coryx's skin darkened with concern. "Ambassador, what's happened?" "They took Buddy. The Xylorians took my dog." Coryx's lower arms twitched, a sign of extreme discomfort. "I will help you find answers." It took 30 minutes of increasingly frantic searching before they located a junior Xylorian aide who nervously explained that High Counselor Vexthar had ordered the biological contaminant removed while Lisa attended negotiations. "Where is my dog now?" Lisa's voice was deadly calm. The aide's eyes darted nervously. "The animal was processed according to station biosecurity protocols. Lisa felt the floor tilt beneath her. Processed? Biological waste is incinerated and… Lisa didn't hear the rest. The neural implant all Earth diplomats carried, designed to transmit crucial information instantly across vast distances, activated automatically as her vitals spiked with distress. Thousands of light years away, in Earth Command headquarters, beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Frank Carter was reviewing defense reports when the emergency signal from Bennett's implant flashed on his screen. The emotional data package arrived first, followed by the situational details. Carter's face remained impassive as he absorbed the information, but the staff around him instinctively stepped back. In 30 years of military service, no one had seen such cold fury in the Admiral's eyes. "Get me the President," he said quietly, "and contact Human-Animal Coalition headquarters." Meanwhile, on the station, Lisa stood before the full Galactic Council, her grief transformed into icy rage. High Counselor Vexthar, an imposing figure with translucent skin revealing shadowy organs beneath, showed no remorse. The creature was an unauthorized biological entity, Vexthar stated. Station protocols were followed. "His name was Buddy," Lisa said, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. "He posed no threat to anyone." Ambassador Bennett, another counselor, interjected. "Surely you understand our concerns about cross-species contamination?" "He was vaccinated. You could have contacted me." Vexthar's tendril-like fingers waved dismissively. "The keeping of lesser creatures as ornaments is a primitive practice. The Council expected better from Earth's representative." Lisa looked around the chamber, seeing the mixture of indifference and mild curiosity on alien faces. They didn't understand. How could they? Most Council species reproduced through spores or cloning. They formed hierarchical societies where clear divisions between sentient and non-sentient were strictly maintained. The concept of companionship, of forming bonds with another species, was foreign to them. "High Counselor," Lisa said finally, "you have made a terrible mistake." Vexthar's inner organs pulsed with what might have been amusement. "A mistake? Over a simple animal?" "On Earth, pets aren't ornaments, they're family." "Ridiculous sentimentality," Vexthar responded. "This matter is closed." Lisa's wrist communicator beeped with a priority message from Earth Command. "Return immediately. Recall authorized." She looked up at the Council one last time. This matter is far from closed. As Lisa walked out of the chamber, she heard Korix hurrying after her. "Ambassador, please," the Nilari called. "The Council doesn't understand what they've done." Lisa turned, her eyes red but dry now. "No, they don't. But they will." As her shuttle detached from the station 6 hours later, Lisa looked out at the stars streaking past. The emptiness beside her, where Buddy should have been sleeping, felt infinite. She didn't know exactly what Earth's response would be, but she knew humanity well enough to be certain of one thing. The Council had just learned the hard way that humans considered their bonds with animals sacred. And they were about to discover what happened when you broke that sacred trust. Admiral Frank Carter stood at the window of the Oval Office, hands clasped behind his back. Outside, the Washington Monument rose into a clear blue sky, but his mind was light years away. How bad is this going to get? President Karen Howard asked from behind her desk. That depends on the Council's next move, Carter replied. But they killed a human companion animal out of pure arrogance. The president nodded slowly. She had been woken at 3 a.m. with news of the incident. In the centuries since humans had joined the galactic community, there had been misunderstandings and tensions, but nothing like this direct insult. Ambassador Bennett has landed in Colorado, said National Security Advisor Greg Martinez, looking up from his tablet. She'll be here within the hour. And Protocol Fenrir? The president asked. Carter turned from the window. Ready to activate on your order, Madam President. President Howard rubbed her temples. Protocol Fenrir had been developed 20 years ago but never used. Some called it extreme, others called it brilliant. Either way, it was uniquely human. The Council thinks we're weak because we share our planet with other species instead of conquering them, Howard said. Let's show them why that's our strength. She nodded to Carter. Activate Protocol Fenrir. Carter's face remained stone-like as he stepped aside and made the call. This is Admiral Carter. Authorization code Delta 9 Echo 7. Activate Protocol Fenrir. Full deployment. Miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Joe Miller received the activation order in the underground command center of the Animal Combat Units. For 2 decades, the ACU had trained in secret, known only to high-level military personnel and the Animal's handlers. It's happening, he told his executive officer, Major Susan Ellis. Full deployment. Major Ellis nodded grimly. I'll alert all division commanders. Within minutes, bases across Earth hummed with activity. In Alaska, wolves trained for cold weather operations were fitted with lightweight armor. In Florida, alligators with neural interfaces were loaded into specially designed water tanks. On the plains of Africa, lions and cheetahs were prepared for their first real mission. At the North American Predator Command in Wyoming, Colonel Miller addressed the assembled handlers. Today we go beyond training, he said to the 1,000 men and women standing at attention. Behind each was their animal partner: wolves, bears, mountain lions, eagles, and more. The Council has harmed one of our own. We will show them that on Earth, all species stand together. Dr. Ryan Bailey watched from the back of the room, his face troubled. As head of xenobiology, he understood the alien cultures better than most. We're really doing this, he whispered to his colleague, Dr. Melissa Walsh. Sending animals to confront the Council. Dr. Walsh adjusted her glasses. You heard what they did. They killed Ambassador Bennett's dog without a second thought, like it was nothing. But deploying 800,000 animals? That's nearly the entire ACU. The Council needs to understand that when you harm one of ours, human or animal, you face all of us. Across Earth, massive carrier ships designed to transport the animal units were brought out of storage. They had been built in secret, disguised as cargo vessels. Now their true purpose was revealed as loading bays were opened and special containment areas activated. In Washington, D.C., Lisa Bennett sat across from the president, her eyes still red from crying. I'm sorry about Buddy, President Howard said, with genuine sympathy. Lisa nodded. Thank you, Madam President. But what exactly is Protocol Fenrir? Admiral Carter wouldn't tell me on the flight back. The president glanced at Carter, who gave a small nod. For thousands of years, President Howard explained, humans have formed partnerships with Earth's predators. Not through force or genetic manipulation, but through mutual respect and evolutionary cooperation. When we joined the galactic community, we kept this part of our military capability secret. Lisa's eyes widened. Military capability? You mean... We've trained animals for combat, Carter said flatly. Wolves, bears, big cats, birds of prey, even marine predators. Each works with a human handler. Together they form the animal combat units. But that's... Lisa struggled to find the right word. Brilliant, the president finished for her. The Council's species evolved through domination. They can't comprehend cooperation between different species. It's why they dismissed Buddy as a mere pet, not understanding the bond you shared. How many? Lisa asked. 800,000 trained predators, Carter answered. With their handlers, that's a force of 1.6 million. Lisa sat back, stunned. And they're all going to the Council station? President Howard nodded. Along with our regular forces, I want you there too, Ambassador. You deserve to see this through. 3 days later, Lisa stood on the bridge of the USS Defender, Earth's flagship. Through the view screen, she watched as hundreds of ships moved into formation. The fleet was massive, far larger than anything Earth had previously sent into space. Captain Ethan Powell, the ship's commander, approached her. We're ready to jump, Ambassador. Would you like to address the fleet? Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Captain Powell signaled to his communications officer, who opened a channel to all ships. Lisa took a deep breath. This is Ambassador Lisa Bennett. 1 week ago, the Council took something precious from me. They didn't understand what Buddy meant, to me, what our animals mean to all of us. Today, we're going to help them understand. Throughout the fleet, Handlers prepared their animal partners for the journey. Special drugs would keep the animals in stasis during faster-than-light travel, but many handlers stayed with their partners anyway, stroking fur and speaking softly. Lieutenant Olivia Garcia sat beside her German Shepherd Rex. They had been together for 7 years, through training and countless exercises. Rex was more than a weapon or a tool. He was her partner. She scratched behind his ears as the sedatives took effect. "Soon, boy," she whispered. "Soon they'll all know what you can do." In the carrier's massive hold, hundreds of such scenes played out. Handlers whispered to wolves, eagles, bears, and lions. The animals, intelligent from millennia of evolution and years of specialized training, seemed to understand the importance of their mission. From the bridge of the USS Defender, Admiral Carter gave the order. "All ships, prepare for jump." Captain Powell turned to his navigation officer. "Set course for Proxima Centauri Station." Light flared around the massive fleet as the jump drives engaged. In a flash of energy, Earth's response to the Council's action disappeared into the void, carrying with it 800,000 of the planet's most dangerous predators. And as the stars streaked past outside, Lisa Bennett sat in her quarters, looking at a photo of Buddy. "They'll never understand what they took from me," she whispered. "But they're about to learn what it means to face humanity and its oldest allies." The massive human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue energy. Hundreds of ships appeared suddenly around Proxima Centauri Station, their hulls gleaming in the light of the red dwarf star. Inside the Council hub, alarms blared. The station's traffic control center erupted in chaos. "Unscheduled arrival," shouted a Nilari controller. "Multiple vessels, human signatures." High Counselor Vexthar strode into the center, his translucent skin pulsing with agitation. "How many ships?" "Over 300, High Counselor," the controller replied, his 4 hands flying over the control panel. "They're not responding to hails." Vexthar's inner organs darkened with concern. "Activate defense systems, alert the Council guards." On the bridge of the USS Defender, Admiral Carter watched the station through the main view screen. The spider-like structure hung against the backdrop of space, its 8 arms extending from the central hub. "They're powering up defensive shields," reported the tactical officer. Carter nodded. "Expected. Captain Powell, move us into position." Captain Powell gave the order, and the massive ship glided forward, leading the fleet. Behind them, the transport. Vessels formed a precise formation. "Open a channel to the station," Carter ordered. The communications officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Admiral Carter straightened his uniform. "This is Admiral Frank Carter of Earth Command. I demand to speak with the Galactic Council immediately." On the station, Vexthar received the message with contempt. "They send their military to make demands? Typical human aggression." He signaled to his aide. "Tell them the Council will not be threatened. They may send 1 representative, unarmed, to present their grievances." The aide transmitted the message, then turned back with wide eyes. "High Counselor, the human fleet is opening their bay doors." "Launching fighters?" Vexthar asked sharply. "No, sir. The ships are... I'm not sure what they're doing." In space, the transport vessel's massive bay doors slid open. From the Defender's bridge, Lisa Bennett watched alongside Admiral Carter as the operation began. "Wake-up protocols complete," reported Major Ellis over the comm. "All units ready for deployment." Carter nodded. "Begin the demonstration." Across the fleet, small transport pods launched from the bay doors. Each pod contained a human handler, and their animal partner now fully awake and ready. Lieutenant Olivia Garcia fastened the last strap on Rex's tactical vest. The German Shepherd sat alert, his eyes focused as if understanding the importance of the mission. "Ready, boy?" she whispered, checking her own gear. Rex gave a soft woof in response. Their transport pod, along with hundreds of others, moved swiftly toward the station's main docking bays. The station's defensive systems tracked them but held fire. The pods were too small to register as serious threats. That was their first mistake. Inside the council chambers, Representatives from 200 species gathered in emergency session. Rumors spread quickly. Earth had sent a fleet because of the pet incident. Many found it laughable. They mobilized their military over an animal? Scoffed the Draxian representative. This confirms their primitive nature. Corix, the Nalari ambassador who had warned Lisa Bennett, looked less certain. We should not underestimate human attachment to their companion species. Before anyone could respond, the chamber doors burst open. A junior aide rushed in, his skin pale with fear. The humans have breached the docking bays. They've brought creatures. Vexithar rose from his seat. What nonsense is this? Our guards will handle any human intrusion. The station's security chief, General Zekiar, entered the chamber, his normally composed features twisted with confusion. High Counselor, the humans, they're not attacking conventionally. They've brought animals, Earth predators, hundreds of them, moving with tactical precision. Outside in the station corridors, the first wave of Earth's animal combat units moved with deadly efficiency. Bears with lightweight armor crashed through security checkpoints. Wolves in tactical gear moved in coordinated packs, securing key junctions. Above, hawks and eagles disabled surveillance systems with precision strikes. Lieutenant Garcia and her K-9 unit secured the main corridor leading to the council chambers. Rex worked silently, using scent to identify hidden security, personnel. When they found guards the animals didn't kill, they subdued following their training to minimize casualties. This was a demonstration, not a slaughter. In the security control room, alien technicians watched in horror as their screens showed predators from Earth moving throughout the station. Most had never seen these creatures except in Earth nature documentaries. How are they controlling them? A technician asked, watching a pack of wolves move in perfect formation. No one had an answer. On the command deck, Admiral Carter and Lisa Bennett stepped out of their transport, flanked by a security team that included 2 massive gray wolves. The station personnel stared in shock as the wolves walked calmly beside their handlers, alert but disciplined. "Take me to the council," Carter ordered the station commander, who was too stunned to refuse. Within 30 minutes of their arrival, Earth forces had secured all critical areas of the station without firing a single shot. The council's elite guards found themselves overwhelmed not by superior weapons but by the unexpected nature of the attack. How does one prepare for a bear charging down a corridor, or wolves that move with military precision? As Admiral Carter and Lisa Bennett approached the council chambers, they found Lieutenant Garcia and her team already in position outside the doors. "All secure, sir," Garcia reported. "Council members are inside as ordered." Carter nodded. "Good work, Lieutenant." He looked down at Rex, who sat alertly beside Garcia. "Your partner performed well." "Yes, sir." All K-9 units completed their objectives. Lisa took a deep breath as she prepared to face the council again. A large gray wolf padded up beside her, the pack leader from Admiral Carter's security detail. The animal looked up at her with intelligent eyes as if sensing her emotion. "His name is Shadow," said the wolf's handler, Sergeant Ben Ross. "He's been with me for 8 years. Would you like him to accompany you inside?" Lisa nodded, grateful for the offer. "Yes, I would." The doors to the council chamber slid open. Inside, the representatives of 200 alien species sat in stunned silence as Admiral Carter, Lisa Bennett, and Shadow the Wolf entered. Behind them came additional handlers with their animal partners, a bear, 2 more wolves, and a mountain lion. High Counselor Vexthar stood at the central podium, his translucent skin now pale with shock. Around the chamber, council members shrank back as the Earth animals took positions along the walls, watching the proceedings with unnervingly intelligent eyes. "What is the meaning of this invasion?" Vexthar demanded, but his voice lacked its usual authority. Admiral Carter stepped forward. "This is not an invasion, High Counselor. This is a first contact." "First contact?" Vexthar repeated in confusion. "Earth joined the Council decades ago." "Yes," Lisa said, stepping up beside Carter with Shadow at her side. "But you never truly met all of Earth. You met only our human representatives. Today, you meet our partners, the species with whom we share our world." The council members stared at the wolf standing calmly beside Lisa. What terrified them most wasn't the display of force. It was the evident bond between humans and these predators, a partnership they had never considered possible. You killed an innocent creature because you thought it meaningless, Lisa continued, her voice steady. Now we've brought some friends to explain why that was a mistake. Silence filled the council chamber. The alien representative stared at the earth animals with a mixture of fear and fascination. A large brown bear stood calmly beside its handler near the main entrance. Wolves patrolled the perimeter with alert eyes. A mountain lion stretched lazily on a ledge overlooking the chamber. High Counselor Vexthar finally found his voice. You have violated council law by bringing dangerous creatures into this station. His inner organs pulsed with angry colors beneath his translucent skin. Dangerous? Admiral Carter raised an eyebrow. Have any of them attacked anyone? Have there been any casualties? Vexthar hesitated. Reports indicated the animals had subdued guards but killed no one. The council demands an explanation for this. This display, Vexthar said, trying to regain authority. Lisa Bennett stepped forward, the gray wolf named Shadow still at her. First, you asked for one representative. We brought many because on Earth humans aren't the only species that matters. From the back of the room, Dr. Eric Martinez entered. As Earth's leading expert on animal-human partnerships, he had been specifically chosen for this mission. A medium-sized bobcat padded alongside him, its spotted coat gleaming under the chamber lights. With your permission, Martinez said with formal politeness that seemed odd, given that Earth forces controlled the station. I would like to explain our relationship with Earth's animals. Vexthar had little choice but to nod his agreement. Doctor. Martinez guided his bobcat companion to jump onto the central table. The animal settled down comfortably, purring as Martinez stroked its fur. Several council members flinched back in their seats. Humans evolved alongside these species, Dr. Martinez began. For millions of years we shared the same forests, plains, and mountains. At first we competed as predators. Later some of us formed partnerships. Partnerships? The Xylorian representative scoffed. These are mindless beasts. As if understanding the insult, the bobcat turned its amber eyes toward the Xylorian, who shrank back slightly. Not mindless, Martinez corrected gently. Different, yes. Their intelligence isn't like yours or mine. But they understand loyalty, cooperation, and trust, concepts that seem to be missing from the Council's philosophy. From another entrance, Sergeant Alicia Rodriguez entered with 3 gray wolves. Unlike Shadow, who stayed at Lisa's side, these wolves moved in perfect formation. A demonstration, Rodriguez announced. She made a series of hand signals, not speaking a single word. Immediately, the wolves split up. One circled the chamber clockwise, another counterclockwise. The third moved directly to the center, then sat perfectly still. Another signal, and all 3 wolves dropped to their bellies simultaneously. No neural implants, Rodriguez explained. No genetic engineering. Just thousands of years of cooperation and mutual respect. The council members watched in amazement as the wolves performed increasingly complex maneuvers without a sound being uttered. How is this possible? Asked a Nilari representative. Wolves were among our first animal partners, Rodriguez explained. Some scientists believe we co-evolved. Humans and wolves learning from each other, adapting together. Eventually, some wolves became what we call dogs, like Ambassador Bennett's companion that your council chose to kill. Vexthar's skin paled, slightly at the pointed reminder. General Zakar, the council's security chief, had been watching silently from a corner. Unlike the other council members, he had studied human warfare and history. Now he stepped forward. Your pets are not decorative, Zakar stated. They are part of your defense strategy. Admiral Carter smiled. They're family first, but yes, they fight alongside us when necessary. Zakar nodded, a gesture he had learned from humans. Our threat assessments were incomplete. We calculated your military strength based on technology and human numbers. We failed to consider your alliances with other species. A critical oversight, Carter agreed. Meanwhile, Dr. Martinez continued his explanation, moving around the chamber so all council members could see his bobcat companion. Some species became our food sources, some our working companions, and some, like Buddy, became part of our families. He looked directly at Vexthar. When you killed him, you didn't just destroy property. You killed a family member. The chamber grew quiet again. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. For the first time, they seemed to grasp the magnitude of their error. A small, insect-like representative from the Krell Collective raised a limb. How many of these partnerships do humans maintain? Thousands of species, Martinez answered. The ones you see here, our predator partners, are just a fraction. And the neural interfaces your military uses? Asked another representative, pointing to the small devices visible on some of the animals' tactical gear. Lieutenant Garcia stepped forward to answer, with Rex at her side. They don't control the animals, they translate, helping us communicate more complex ideas across species barriers. The foundation is still trust and respect. To demonstrate, Garcia removed Rex's neural interface. The German shepherd looked up at her, awaiting instruction. With a few hand signals, Rex performed a complex security sweep of the chamber, checking each entrance methodically before returning to her side. With or without technology, the partnership remains, Garcia explained. Hi. Counselor Vexthar had been quiet for some time, his inner organs shifting in patterns that suggested deep thought. Finally, he addressed Admiral Carter directly. You could have responded to our mistake with conventional weapons, he observed. Instead, you brought these creatures. Why? Carter looked to Lisa, indicating she should answer. Because you needed to understand, Lisa said. If we had attacked with ships and guns, you would have seen only another aggressive species fighting for dominance. That's not who we are. She knelt beside Shadow, who nuzzled her hand. Humans have something unique in this galaxy. We form bonds with those different from us. We don't conquer, we connect. Buddy wasn't my pet. He was my friend. The council chamber remained silent as her words sank in. For species that evolved through strict hierarchy and dominance, the concept was revolutionary and slightly terrifying. One of the younger council members, a Tellarite barely out of adolescence, cautiously approached Shadow. May I? She asked Lisa, extending a tentative hand. Lisa nodded, and Shadow remained perfectly still as the alien touched his fur for the first time. The Tellarite's eyes widened in wonder. It's soft, she whispered, and warm. More council members rose from their seats, curiosity overcoming fear. Under the watchful eyes of their handlers, the Earth animals allowed the aliens to approach. Some recoiled at first contact, but others lingered, fascinated by these creatures who shared their world with humans. General Zikar approached Admiral Carter as the impromptu cultural exchange unfolded. You never intended to attack, the general realized. This entire operation was a demonstration. Carter nodded. Of what humans are capable of, yes. Both our capacity for connection and what happens when you harm those we love. Zikar's scales shifted color slightly. A most effective lesson, Admiral. I believe the Council has much to reconsider about humanity's place in the galactic community. As Lisa watched aliens from across the galaxy making first contact with Earth's animals, she felt a bittersweet pang. Buddy should have been here. He would have charmed them all. But perhaps his death would lead to something greater, a new understanding between Earth and the stars. 1 month after Earth's demonstration at Proxima Centauri Station, Lisa Bennett stood in her new quarters, watching a golden retriever puppy explore the space. The puppy sniffed every corner, tail wagging furiously as it discovered each new scent. What will you call her? Asked Korix, the Nalari ambassador who had become a close ally during the past weeks. Lisa smiled as the puppy pounced on a toy. Hope. Her name is Hope. It seemed fitting. In the 30 days since Earth had sent its animal, partners to the Council Station, a remarkable shift had occurred in galactic politics. The Council had unanimously ratified the Terran Animal Protection Act, formally acknowledging the sentience and protected status of all Earth species throughout Council space. More surprising was the request from multiple Council races for cultural exchanges focused on understanding the human-animal bond. The concept of forming partnerships with other species rather than dominating them had sparked something like a philosophical revolution among younger Council members. The Xylorian youth delegation arrives tomorrow, Corix reminded her. They are particularly eager to meet your canine companions. Lisa nodded. The Xylorians, once the most dismissive of human connections with animals, had become curiously fascinated by working dogs, perhaps because their rigid hierarchical society had never considered cooperation between different species possible. Hope has her diplomatic credentials, Lisa said, holding up a small tag attached to a stylish collar. The first official animal, ambassador to the Council. The puppy also had something unofficial, a Council security detail, a gesture that did not go unnoticed by Earth. A chime sounded, and the door slid open to reveal Admiral Carter. The military man looked slightly out of place in the diplomatic section of the station, but the changes of the past month had blurred many such boundaries. Ambassador, he greeted Lisa formally, then softened as he spotted the puppy. And Ambassador, Hope, Lisa smiled. Admiral, I thought you were leaving today. Most of our forces are already heading home, Carter confirmed. I wanted to check in before the last transport departs. After proving their point, Earth had withdrawn the majority of the animal combat units. The operation had achieved its goals, without bloodshed, a fact that impressed the Council's military observers almost as much as the human-animal partnerships themselves. Will you miss having Shadow around? Lisa asked. The Grey Wolf had become something of a celebrity on the station, with Council representatives often requesting his presence at meetings. Sergeant Ross and Shadow have one more duty here before they head home, Carter replied. The official signing of the Protection Act. After that, they've earned some rest. A junior diplomat entered with a data pad. Excuse me, Ambassador Bennett. We've received 17 more requests for information about Earth's animal partners. He glanced at the puppy, who was now chewing on one of Lisa's boots. Particularly about dogs. Lisa nodded. Thank you, Bill. I'll review them later. After the aide left, Corix's skin rippled with what Lisa now recognized as amusement. Your Earth animals have become quite popular. Several Council races have requested permission to visit Earth and observe these partnerships firsthand. And some have asked about adopting Earth animals. Carter added, with a raised eyebrow. Lisa picked up Hope, who licked her face enthusiastically. We'll need to develop guidelines. Not every species is ready for a puppy. Their conversation was interrupted when General Zakiar requested entry. The Council's security chief had developed a grudging respect for Earth's military strategies during the past month. Admiral Carter, Zakiar greeted with a formal bow. I hope to speak with you before your departure. Carter nodded. Of course, General. A question that has been troubling many of my colleagues, Zakiar said. Why didn't Earth simply launch a conventional attack after the incident with Ambassador Bennett's companion animal? Your fleet was clearly capable. Carter considered the question. May I ask you something first, General? In your culture, how do you respond when someone harms your family? With proportional force, Zakiar answered promptly, often through ritual combat or legal penalties. On Earth, we have a saying, the punishment fits the crime, Carter explained. We could have responded with weapons that would have reduced this station to atoms. Instead, we chose to educate. Lisa added, we showed you what makes humanity unique. We form bonds with those different from us. We protect our own whether they walk on 2 legs or 4. Hope wiggled in Lisa's arms, wanting to explore again. Lisa set the puppy down, and to everyone's surprise, Hope trotted straight to General Zakiar and sat at his feet, looking up expectantly. The general froze, uncertain how to respond to the small creature. She wants you to pet her, Lisa explained. Gently, Zakiar hesitantly extended a scaled hand. Hope sniffed it, then pushed her head under his palm. The general's eyes widened as he carefully stroked the soft golden fur. Remarkable, he murmured. No fear. Puppies generally assume everyone is their friend until proven otherwise, Lisa said. Not a bad philosophy for diplomacy. Later that day, Admiral Carter addressed the remaining Earth forces preparing to depart the station. Most of the animal units had already returned home, but a small contingent would remain as part of the diplomatic security team, humans paired with their animal partners. Our mission here is complete, Carter told the assembled personnel. We came to deliver a message, and that message has been received. Among the remaining security teams was Lieutenant Garcia and Rex. They had volunteered to stay and help train the station's security forces in working with Earth's animal partners. What do you think, Rex? Garcia asked her German shepherd as they watched the last transport being loaded. Ready for a new adventure? Rex woofed softly, pressing against her leg in a gesture of solidarity. Across the station, word spread quickly about Hope, the new canine ambassador. Council members who had once viewed Earth animals as primitive or dangerous now requested meetings specifically when the puppy would be present. On the observation deck, Lisa stood with Hope in her arms, watching Earth ships prepare for departure. The vast majority of the 800,000 animal partners were going home, having accomplished their mission without violence. President Howard had been right, Lisa reflected. The Council had mistaken human compassion for weakness. They had failed to understand that Earth's unique evolutionary path, forming bonds rather than dominating, had created not a vulnerability but a strength. As if sensing her thoughts, Hope licked Lisa's chin. I know, Lisa whispered. Buddy would be proud. Behind her, a group of young council representatives from various species were being introduced to a team of Earth dogs, specially trained for therapy work. The aliens' expressions of wonder and delight as the dogs greeted them with wagging tails suggested that something fundamental was changing in interspecies relations. Admiral Carter joined Lisa at the window. Mission accomplished, Ambassador. Yes, Lisa agreed, though not in the way anyone expected. They watched as the last major transport ship moved away from the station, its engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. Earth's show of force was departing, but its message remained. Humanity's strength wasn't measured in ships or weapons, but in 65 million years of evolutionary partnerships, and the Council never harmed another Earth creature again.